Hey folks, welcome back to Only Best Fancy Novels. My name is Robin, and today we're talking about Blood for the Undying Throne by Sung Kim. And this is a somber, a bit more of an emotional follow-up to last year's, to the series opener last year. And it takes the story in some interesting directions, especially given the type of story this is. So yeah, let's kind of talk about it. So this this book picks up shortly after the events of the first one, and we kind of deal with the fallout of those events. Like the cracks have begin to show in the empire, and the various forces that kind of each exist on their own. They aren't really allied, but they all resist. The one common thread that they have is that they all resist the empire. They begin to smell blood in the water. They begin to sharpen their steel. As a result of that, even as that's going on, the empire is not without. The empire is very much reacting to those events, and in their desperation, they're turning to their one particular faction is making a play that is going to just escalate things beyond far beyond what anyone could possibly hope to deal with. So there's a lot going on that front, and even as all of this is going on, the mystery surrounding one of the one of the most critical events of recent memory within this world are about to be revealed. So, like this book, it's got a lot going on in some very interesting ways. It's very different from the first one in the way that just in the type of story that it decides to tell. So, or not in a bad way, just a different way. So this book kind of takes a step back. Whereas the first one was very fun, it was very fast paced, it was very action packed, it was very plot driven, and it was more in line with like classic fantasy. Think of like almost like a D&D style, or like an epic fantasy style of from like the 80s or 70s, whereas it was very much that type of story. This one we take a step back and we spend more time with the characters, with the same cast of characters, or those who survived at least, doing some very telling things. Like we spend some time with these characters kind of examining where they are, their relationships, the bonds they've formed with other people, and kind of examining what the road that, to this day, to where they are at this stage in life, and this kind of thing, like what it's cost them. And in addition to that, like two of the arcs in here, they do deal with one of the more infamous events in this world's history that's going to be very telling, that's going to be very key for the story moving forward. They deal with it from two very different directions, and that by itself made things very interesting, because whereas one is absolutely an exploration into the mystery itself, the other arc is an exploration into the fallout, into the development of that event. So it's pretty interesting in how these kind of things were, in how all of this was tackled. Um, so like I said, we it's very much the same cast of characters, but these stories, they have they're slower and they have much more of an emotional charge to them as compared to the first book, where we didn't spend so much time with the characters and it was more plot driven kind of stuff. It was more action, like it was more action packed. Like this book reads very much like a middle book, in that the overall story of the overall story that we're kind of building towards, it doesn't feel like the needle gets moved much in that regard. But at the same time, a lot happens in this book, a lot that needs to happen to kind of build towards what comes next. And given the things that are revealed in here and what we see coming, well, given the things that happen in here, and sort of some of the moves that are made, and some of the bonds that begin to form between different characters and these kind of things, like it all builds towards something pretty exciting to come. So in all of those aspects, it's very much a middle book. Like it's quite clear the stage is being set for something pretty intense. And as with the first book, Sung Il Kim's imagination continues to really shine through in this one. Like in terms of the in terms of like the way that the magic works in here, and just the lore and the and this world itself, how it works, like the and these kind of things. This is a very different, like as much as this book is and the series is inspired by classic fantasy, it's very much doing its own thing, in some of the best possible ways, and we see that in here. We see that in this book in particular, with the way that certain stories are explored. You can see, like between just the magic and the lore drops in here, like this world is already is carving a niche out for itself as something different. You can see. Overall, that's kind of my take when it comes to this book. Like, it just continues to build on all the strengths of the first book. It tells a very different story from the first one in an interesting way, and it's building. It does what the middle book does, which is to build towards that finale. And given some of the mystery and some of the backstory that's revealed here, and not just that, some of the seeds that are planted that are obviously going to bear fruit in the next book, like, it's going to be very, very, very interesting to see where this story goes from here. So so yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Blood for the Undying Throne. A good installment, and I'm interested to see where it goes, where the largest story as a whole goes from here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.